Late night edition of the market update. XRP, Avalanche, Polkadot. What happens if they all break out all at the same time? What happens if some of these unbelievable Gann charts that I've got on those coins and more turn out to be prophetic on price? Let me give it to you straight. Inflation number comes out roughly 8 hours from this stream on March 12th. If that inflation number is not good, meaning not implying Fed rate hikes, you probably got 1 to 2 days to gather up your shekels, get your portfolio together, because if there's even a dip on that, if there is, that's the dip. That's the dip before I think this whole thing just goes and goes and goes, because there are elements here that people are not taking into account. Naturally, I'm going to take you through all of it. PowerPoint tonight, 50 slides. If you got a crypto in mind, I got a chart. If you need a roadmap in crypto, subscribe to this channel. Turn on alerts so you know when we're going live and early and often. This stream is brought to you by my Patreon. Patreon.com/unhingedcrypto, where we're going to be expanding our Gann charts. We have a roadmap for sale, right? Roadmap for multiple cryptos. We have this incredibly subtle QR code that you can scan and jump in. Like I said, you got one dip left, and when you see these charts, you are going to want in. Now, remember when everybody thought 50K was resistance in Bitcoin? Where's Bitcoin now? People who were talking 50K resistance, how silly do they feel? Think about this. Think about this on the next dip, right? Think about it. Don't be the guy that missed the next dip on CPI. Okay, just as a reminder, the link to the Patreon is in the comments of the stream, and it's in the description down below. Please come and see us. People are making money. Okay, let's see who is here. Silas, welcome. Right? Simon, what's going on? Washington, D.C. Mike. Boris, happy midnight. Okay, Rave Song Records in the house. Welcome. Michelle, hi. Protohypes. If you're watching the short videos, by the way, feel free to comment down below or say hello. Dane, yes, late night. Okay, I'd buy that for $1. Some giddy up action. Rudy looking for VRA. Don't let me forget, brother. Don't let me forget. Okay, Jashim is here. Okay, 15% AI and 10% gaming. Is it okay, Bill? Well, I can't give you investment advice, but you've got to have healthy allocations to gaming, metaverse, and AI, particularly multi-coin Capital's suite of AI, which is Solana, Render, the Graph, and Filecoin. Don't go anywhere for those charts. Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. Super Matt, hi. Looking for some tactical spots. Super Matt, good evening, America from England. Believe it or not, the #1 city in the world for the market update is London. Figure we give you guys some love with a late night market update. Huckleberry Native is here. Welcome. Bull Runner in the house. Rotine Cheese, Oroiko. Welcome to the show. Mike Rocks. Okay, news. Let's go. Okay, some hyperbole, not necessarily news. Whoever is writing the history of XRP, be sure and save this tweet where I said XRP, anyone, when they were selling it below 60 cents. I'm going to take the XRP narrative right out from underneath them. Right out from underneath them. Bitcoin rises to a new record. Ethereum breaks 4K, says CNBC. I'm sensing retail FOMO is coming. Inflation in a Latin American country is cooling because the president of that country read an economics book. You know, folks, here's an obvious statement. 2024 is going to be a huge year for cryptocurrency. Here's a not obvious statement. 2024 is going to be a big year for economics. That's going to be one of the reasons why people are going to want cryptocurrency and tech stocks, or, you know, the equivalent, except they're going to want it in crypto on a blockchain. Economics, crypto as money, crypto as tech. Okay? You can't have some of the things that are going on in the world continue to go on without some sort of reaction from markets. That reaction is crypto up. It's as simple as that. Last night, made a mistake. Thought there was going to be a correction that was going to last 2 or 3 days. It lasted 2 or 3 hours. You can have one more dip on CPI, people. You got, I don't know, you got 72 hours to get your book together. Just in, VanEck is removing the fees on its spot Bitcoin ETF. In other words, we want your Bitcoin business so badly that we will give you the ETF and not charge you for it. Not charge you for it. Did you know that normie investors, there's a Solana trust run by Grayscale? So there's kind of like a Solana mini ETF. Yeah, that product, the Solana, is valued 800% above what Solana is really worth. That's how bad normies want in on Solana. They want in on Solana, they want in on Bitcoin, and they're not price sensitive. Everyone in crypto is like, oh my God, I can't pay 70 cents for XRP, or oh my God, 50 is resistance in Avalanche. No, it's not. It's a chart point. Charts matter, sort of. They matter for navigation, they matter for dips, and they matter for when things are consolidating either on top of support or they're about to break through resistance. That's when charts matter the most. Okay, so we have a budget of $7 trillion, right? And they're counting on tax revenues to pay for it. MicroStrategy could become an S&P 500 stock. Now, some say yes, some say no. Let's talk about that. The S&P 500 is the biggest stock index on the planet. Everybody who is in equities owns the S&P 500. Every institution, every investor, anybody who's got a mutual fund, anybody who's got a 401k, they own S&P. Now, if MicroStrategy gets put in S&P, right, that means everybody will basically get a piece of Bitcoin without knowing it, and MicroStrategy stock would skyrocket because it would have to be purchased by every mutual fund that owns or has S&P 500 stocks. It would be like, you know, it's like the equivalent of getting an altcoin getting listed on Coinbase, right? If MicroStrategy is in the S&P 500, it's beyond big time. And of course, that sort of discussion is helping to move the stock again. Flashback to the creation of the Bitcoin ETF, where everyone sold MicroStrategy. Everybody was like, get out. Everyone was like, we don't need it anymore. And then it's just up only, right? You don't get the dips that you want, right? The dip is too short, right? It's like, oh, I thought it was a 3-day dip. It's happened to me. I happened to a 3-day dip, right? Looking to take profits just for the sake of taking profits never works. You take profits either when you think you go, wow, this is a lot of money, right? Or I got to buy a computer, or I see a topping signal, but just to say, okay, I'm going to take profits, never works. Everybody dumped MicroStrategy, and now they all got to buy it back, because if they put it as they say here, S&P 500 index could expose millions to MicroStrategy and Bitcoin. Okay, Bloomberg saying U.S. inflation data won't inspire Fed to cut rates, according to Bloomberg economists. Great, terrific, fantastic. You know what I'm saying? It's like, hey, we're going to get a dip. Awesome. Or they'll sell it in front of the number for fear of the number. I don't know. But basically, I don't care what this number is, right? We all know inflation's too hot and the grocery store is a nightmare. The powers that be, the market has told you that the powers that be do not have control over purchasing power. If you want to protect purchasing power, you have to go to crypto, period. That's as neutral as I can say it. So you got an inflation number and a Fed meeting coming up. I think they're going to be rallying this thing into the Fed meeting. And if there's going to be a dip, it's going to be off the inflation number. To the point where I did discuss the dip. I did discuss in Patreon, there's active portfolio management, whereas like you have to switch, like it paid to go from Phantom to Avalanche. That's an example, right? Or it paid to go from, say, Solana to Rune, to catch the move in Rune, and now maybe go back to Solana, or maybe not. We'll check the charts. Active portfolio management over the next 72 hours. Is now the right time to invest in Bitcoin, says Bloomberg. So normie investors are now reading, hey, now might be the time to get into Bitcoin. I think the Financial Times has a piece. Yeah, let me see what we got. Bitcoin bulls are not the bigger fools. The most popular cryptocurrency is starting to look like more than a passing fad. God, where would we be without legacy newspapers? Bitcoin is at 72K and BlackRock is buying $500 million a day. And that's one of 9 ETFs. And now the press has decided, you know, maybe we should look at this. So if they're just looking at it, it stands to reason. They don't own it. They haven't bought it, right? So they might be bullish. I don't know, where they're still looking at it. They definitely don't own it. What happens when they do own it? What happens when they like it? No one wanted it at 16, 30, 58. No one wanted it. It'll be much more attractive to them at 125. Like these type of things, you should print and stick up on your wall like this. I lost it. Yeah, this is now the right time to invest in Bitcoin. March 12th, 2024. Book it. Okay, VanEck removes the fees from its mutual funds. Bitcoin rally pushes BlackRock ETF over 10 billion in record time. What's 10 billion between friends? Nothing. In legacy, I got a YouTube short that's got 14,000 views, noting that there's $100 trillion in, that's the total amount of money to be invested in equities, which of course is now where Bitcoin can be traded with the spot Bitcoin ETF. Insane numbers. It's time to rethink how banks get rescued. A very interesting article, because there probably are going to be banks that are going to need to be rescued. Is inflation actually coming down? Is it? Well, maybe, but you know what? The standard response to inflation, which is higher interest rates, might have worked and it might not have. The new response to inflation is to move alternative currencies and alternative assets. So you got to get your money in like a stock where $1 of earnings is better than $1 in the bank. But obviously, crypto is it. This is the under-discussed thing. Like people are seeing everything going up and it's very exciting, but people don't really understand why it's going up. We'll cover some of that in the PowerPoint. Okay. Bitcoin has just bumped silver to become the 8th most valuable asset in the world. At 105K, Bitcoin jumps the principal oil company in Saudi Arabia. At 137K, Bitcoin enters the top 3. At 153K, it becomes the 2nd most valuable asset in the world. I mean, when normie investors start talking about this, you know, whoops. I like this. Law enforcement releases warning in new report. So just to let you know, don't click on any links. Watch the rug pulls on Solana. Okay. But the fact of the matter is, don't do anything that would cause you to not be able to participate in what's going on in the future of money and in the future of tech. Because all these layer ones that were given up for dead, all this stuff like Rune that involves in cross-chain trading. And I'm going to tell you right now, I told the Patreon people this 3 days ago, and you know what? I'm so proud of it. I'm going to say it right now. What about Polkadot? Everyone's like, oh, no one needs it. You know, it was the number one in terms of the blockchain code company I used to work at. It was the number one coin that they've ever reviewed. And when you see the long-term charts of Polkadot, just sort of like the long-term charts of XRP, you got to start asking yourself, if Polkadot, XRP, Avalanche, Solana, and say Near, it doesn't even mention Cardano, if those 6 altcoins just completely smoke to the upside, if they go full meme coin, what's going to happen to the rest of the crypto market? It's going to have to go along with it. And like I said, the charts of Avalanche and all these places, you know, we got to talk about this. Now, look at this. I like this. Reddit targets valuation at 6.5 billion. Huh. So social media companies worth a lot of money. Okay. They're trying to raise 750 million. Okay. Point. The higher the value of equities, IPOs, and any of these legacy assets are, the higher crypto can go. The higher crypto can go. Let's have a great IPO for Reddit. Okay. Government radio silence on Ethereum ETF, not necessarily a good sign. You know what, folks? I know that Ethereum has been climbing. And I'm sure if the ETF is somehow denied, ETH might go down. But I'm wondering if the only reason ETH is going up is the ETF, or whether there's like this relationship it has with precious metals, where ETH, when precious metals go up, ETH follows. And Katie barred the door if they actually do the ETF. Like, forget about it. Okay. Going to PowerPoint. Going to PowerPoint right now. Okay. Melly's asking about Coinbase stock. I will try to pull the chart up in live TA. Nothing's going to stop any of these crypto-related equities. Aiken is here. Welcome. Luis Spartan 100 up late at night. Flying Tiger. Silas, welcome. Welcome to the show. Okay. PowerPoint. Epic. Absolutely epic. Epic. Just as a reminder, this show is brought to you by my Patreon. When you see the Gann charts at the end of this slideshow, you are going to realize that every day or every other day in my Patreon, I'm going to be releasing Gann charts that have price targets and dates that, you know what? Even I was like, that's kind of surprising. I'm going to do this Gann structure on everything. So this is our subtle QR code for Patreon. Please come pay us a visit. It's on in crypto. You go to the comments and you look what people are doing. People are making it. People are making it in there at an affordable price. MicroStrategy. This is called a Fibonacci extension structure, which you use to chart parabolic markets that are basically, doing kind of price discovery. MicroStrategy blew through a fib point at 1394. It may come back down and retest that. Fill this gap. Good. Let's have a wild retest. 2190 is the upside target. This is how I got my head straight by saying, okay, you know what? Is it going to dip on Monday or Friday, or is it going to last 3 days? What's the upside target? Where's support? And that's the market update. No, I'm kidding. That's what you got to figure out in any coin that you're dealing with. Okay, Bitcoin, what's the upside target? Okay, this 9 and this 13 means Bitcoin should have gone down. Well, it didn't. If something's supposed to go down and it doesn't, what's it going to do? It's going to go up. So if there's a dip off CPI, that's your dip. And then they're going to wind up taking this thing to 79K, probably right near the Fed meeting on the 20th. They're just going to take it there. You'd be lucky if you get 5 days. That'd be nice. They really ramped it in everyone's face, probably because nobody wanted to buy it in front of the CPI number. And you're like, gee, Bill, that's kind of weird that you would say that. Yeah, bull markets can be weird. Like bull markets, like, oh, you just sit back and you just go. No, man, it's hard. Like, oh, yeah, there should be a dip in front of CPI, and they ramp it 5% in your face. Okay, so whatever dip they do in the next 3 days, whatever. Okay, it's going to wind up at 79, whether it takes 5 days or 15 days. ETH. Man, you seeing anything on this chart? Like, it should have stopped over here, and it didn't. Like, what's up here to stop Ethereum? We have like 7 more up days. 7 more up days. I mean, I'm showing on my hidden pivot analysis, right? So you connect this low to that high and connect that dot down there to draw these structures that no one can see. That's why they're called hidden pivot. Okay. Featured frequently in the Patreon. If ETH is above 4,030, if ETH actually holds above 4,000, it can go to 4,800. Just boom. I mean, these structures have been everywhere. I think I have one in Immutable X later on. I mean, these structures, the Fibonacci extension, and I'm bringing in GAN. And then I have this roadmap in the Patreon store that has really outside the box pattern matching. Solana, GAN work, DeMark work. Notice these moving averages are not traditional moving averages. They're drawn by DeMark's quant system. Notice what happens when Solana wicks down, test the moving average. Wicks down, test the moving average. Boom. 3 up days. Solana wicks down, test the moving average. What's Solana going to do? Possibly 2 or 3 insane up days. I wouldn't doubt that the whole market sat still on a correction and Solana went as like a one coin moment. Something weird's going to happen with Solana. And when it goes, it's going to be insane. I've got the parallel between that and ETH. Speaking of Solana, the DeMark system on monthly charts, in English, it draws a dotted line where the bear market started. Okay? It draws a dotted line where the bear market started. And guess what? Bitcoin and then ETH, everything is going to go back up and retest where the bear market started. These DeMark lines. So in Solana, it's at 180, and this shows 2 or 3 more up months in Solana. But 180 is the number. Now, here's a GAN structure in Solana on the weekly chart. Look at that. Solana breaks out, retests this GAN line. The next one is at 185. I work with a guy. I really like him. He's got Solana at really low levels. He's got to buy a computer. I say, hey, he's like, what's going to happen with Solana? It's like 120. He's like, oh, it's going to go to 180. And he said to me, he's like, when you told me that, I thought you were out of your mind. So this is a guy who's bullish Solana, who's really smart, by the way, right? Because I think he bought it at 12. And when you tell somebody who's already bullish Solana, who's got his eye on a computer or a new car, that this thing could go from 120 to 180 and that type of upside doesn't compute, right? It's telling you that he's not alone. That like 185 Solana, ironically, they're FOMOing in equities. I don't think people get what can actually happen here in Solana and how fast it can happen. That's the other thing. Okay, speaking of fast, hello, Avalanche, right? You see all this moving average support. You see this dotted line, all these DeMark levels. And what's the bottom line in Avalanche? Oh, they pressed it in the first half of February. Then they took it up. Then they pressed it again and pressed it again. And you know what? They were pressing it Saturday night. And look at this wick. They were pressing it Sunday night. That made me go, oh. And then what did they do? What did they do when I went, oh no, straight up, straight up. At least 4 more up days, possibly. Oh my God, it's a God candle in XRP. It must be over, right? Wrong. Check this out. This is a 13 bottom in XRP on the daily chart from late February. So that's the bottom signal. For the bottom signal to be confirmed, you need a big green candle or a green candle that has a 1 on it, showing XRP is going the other way. So most of these other cryptos, you know, they've done a DeMark trend. They've done another DeMark trend. They've done another DeMark trend. XRP just started. This was like, oh yeah, nice rally in XRP. That's cute. No, bro, this thing could just keep going, especially if dips bring in buyers, right? In other words, at long last, it's possible that the forced selling in XRP has ended because you woke up and it was 20% higher. And I want to be written in the history of XRP as the guy that saw this 13 bottom and saw this candle with the 1 on it and told everybody it should already be at $1 and it's probably going to 2. And that could actually happen quickly. Like not tomorrow, but it could. At $1 could happen easily. And really, XRP is, we're going to get to the charts in a minute. XRP is wildly overdue for upside. Wildly. XRP monthly chart, the dotted line. Where did the bear market begin? In XRP, just above $1. How long has XRP been sitting on this DeMark moving average? So moving averages are wavy lines because they follow price. And this is called a bird on a wire getting ready to fly. XRP sat on this moving average for a year, probably tormenting anybody who owned it. Tormenting anybody who owned it. Like it's the ultimate frustration trade. You beat the government and then you had to sit for 6 months and watch everything else go up 10x. A nightmare. And from great pain comes great opportunity. A classic market axiom, I believe, from Jim Grant. We'll chat GBT that later. Okay. XRP. Okay. So let's take this action from over here, right? So we're in the bottom left. Right, we're going to take all this choppy action and then these big spike ups and then the huge rally in XRP. I'm going to take it, I'm going to cut it out, and I'm going to paste it on the present. So I matched it up nicely with this spike off the win for the government, right? So XRP does nothing. It spikes up. It comes back down just like here. And then XRP went up. But wait a minute. In this case, what's XRP doing? Nothing. Nothing. In other words, XRP should have gone up in October, right? It should be XRP should be at $2 based on this, just technicals. XRP, say this to yourself, XRP should be at $2. It's not, obviously. They got like a little cup rounding bottom going on here. And everyone's like, oh my God, I can't touch XRP at, 60 cents. I had to get rid of it 3 days ago. I was like, oh my God, get this away from me. Meanwhile, my Patreon is just like, yeah, we'll take it all. We'll just take it all. Because who's talking about it? Well, I mean, everybody's talking about XRP now, but who was talking about XRP 5 days ago? Me and nobody else. Polkadot. The next, no one's talking about a trade. I couldn't even control myself on this, right? It's like Polkadot, interoperability, right? GLMR, moving. Coins in the Polkadot ecosystem have started mooning. I actually looked up. I said, how many coins are in the Polkadot ecosystem? There's a lot. There's a lot. And this was the hottest thing the last cycle. They had a booth at Consensus last year. No one was there. It was the Near booth and the Polkadot booth at Consensus last year. What do you think those booths would look like when they have them at Consensus? That's the big crypto conference in Austin in May. What do you think those booths are going to look like this year? Let me ask you something. Just an off question. How far is Polkadot from the place where the bear market started? DeMark says the bear market started at something close to 40. Polkadot's now at 11. 2 months ago, nobody wanted it at 5. Nobody. It's like, oh, yeah, we don't want this. Whatever. And nobody's talked about Kusama, which is, which was Polkadot operational before Polkadot. I mean, can you imagine what happens to crypto market cap if this beast wakes up along with just XRP and Avalanche? Forget about it. This was like, I was like, oh, wow, I was kind of worried about a correction. And I looked at this. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? What are you telling people? I mean, yes, active portfolio management. That's the key. Being able to rotate out of something that mooned and into, like if you rotate it out of Pepe and into Polkadot, that might be a good trade, right? If retail chased meme coins, meme coins are still going to go up. I still think Doge is going to $1. So meme coins are not done. But if you had profits from something else and you moved them into XRP or Polkadot, you have like 20, 40, 50, 150% upside potential. Like, here's GLMR, right? Rounding bottom, teacup and handle, boom. Right? Do you know how many parts of crypto are still in this cup and handle mode? Right? Some are in cup and handle, just coming out. Some are in rounding bottom and haven't come out. That's Aave and the Graph. Right? Some stuff has gone vertical, but it's at resistance. It's pausing. You still have hesitation even in the most vertical cryptos. Like there's nothing indiscriminately mooning right now, in my opinion. I mean, I'm sure there's something out there, but like most cryptos, including the watch list that we have for our Patreon, which is, I'll show you when I bring up TradingView, it's robust. Stuff's going up, but it's not out of control. By the way, speaking of out of control, remember when everybody was worried about resistance at 3,800 or 4,000 in ETH? It's kind of funny now, don't you think? It's kind of funny because if you look at this ETH monthly chart, we could have 4 more up months. So you got to have March and 4 more months. This thing, once you get that dip, you get that final dip, this thing could go up. This thing could go up straight through May. Straight through May. And half of June. What's going to stop it? Look at this. Remember the DeMark point at 58K in Bitcoin? Everyone was like, oh, it's 50. That's what matters. I'm like, no, it's not. It's 58. You know what this market did? Look what it did. Just sometimes you got to focus on the candle. This is a market. I can't zoom in on PowerPoint, but they took it out. They just got that monthly close just through 58. Then it came back and tested 58. Then it just went straight up. Nobody wanted it at 40. Nobody wanted it at 44. Nobody wanted it at 50. Nobody wanted it at 58. But at 96, it'll be much more attractive. Hey, remember this? Resistance? You had this trend line. You had the all-time high. Oh, my God. Remember when Bitcoin went to the all-time high and then everyone sold it? Dumb. First time ever, gold weekly. Gold. Do you realize gold has just sat here? It's like bird on a wire getting ready to fly, but it's not on a wire. It's just below resistance. And gold volatility, this metric is very low, which is weird for something at an all-time high. So gold could start trading like Bitcoin. So can you imagine gold, silver, Bitcoin, and ETH all going up at the same time? Everyone's talking about Bitcoin going up. We get it. But what happens if ETH and metals start going with it for non-ETF related reasons? That would mean you have an ETF related reason. You have crypto is the future of money. Crypto is the future of tech, and possibly a macro reason. Actually, there's nothing possibly about it. It's going to happen. Naturally, you want to be in my Patreon, staying up to speed on all four of those things. Okay, dollar. Can't talk about it. Seriously, you can't talk about it. I shouldn't have even said it. I got to come up with a nickname for it. Silver. I can talk about silver. You can take out $24. It goes to $27. I know, not super electrifying in crypto. However, you get silver from 24 to 27. Conceivably, you could have ETH at 4,800 or 5K, depending on how insane it is going into the halving. It's funny that the thing that could move the most, I think, could be stuff like ETH and Polkadot. Don't laugh. Immutable X. Okay, this is hidden pivot work. This is like an educational example. So Immutable X gets to its hidden pivot target at $3.56. And they wick everybody out of this. But then what happens? Just an example. Then what happens? Then they take it right back to resistance and they just stick it there. Like just right below it. Okay. Now, what happens in Immutable X or any other instrument when they jam it to resistance and leave it there? It eventually goes through and then it eventually goes crazy. Right? As Rudy just said, think about it. Think about it. Think about it. Think about it. Right? Bull Runner says you're going to be up all night. Not all night, but here's a guy who's not sleeping. Kramer says the monster move in Bitcoin is toppy because Michael Saylor was borrowing money to buy more. You got to be really careful of being like hyperbole and being a cool announcer and saying stuff on YouTube is fun, but you got to be really careful of coming to quick snap judgments about what this thing can do on the upside. I just kind of went through like a take profits sake thing. Yeah, dips can happen, but man, do you really want to go down in history as the guy that was saying it was a top at 63? I don't. Like, I wanted to fade NVIDIA at like 350. It's now at like 1,000. My name is Pip, and I bought Bitcoin at 69K, and I'm counting on Michael Saylor to bail me out. Michael Saylor probably has this like cut out and put up on his wall. Hidden pivot analysis in Bitcoin, right? 68K went from being resistance to support. And who knows if they wick it back down here, maybe they wick it back down to 68. Although it is funny, this little candlestick here on Sunday night when it was at 67, a guy whose show I used to go on, Kelly Kellum, says somebody DM'd him when Bitcoin went to 67 and go, what do I do now that Bitcoin crashed to 67? I'm like, dude, in 2017, when it hit the all-time high, it was like a 30% drawdown. This one, you got to dip for like a day. And then everyone goes, oh my God, I got to call my mom because it went down. People, I know that it looks like you want to sell everything. That is a natural human instinct. I know that I looked at this thing and was like, yeah, maybe you have a correction for 2 days. And then I realized you don't need to focus on the correction. You just need to take advantage of the correction, right? You need to be focused on where is support and where is the upside target. And how can I rotate my portfolio around so that I catch the next Ready for this? The next XRP, the next thing that's going to go up 20% in one day. And of course, the next small coin that's going to 3x, which again, in Patreon, we're coming out with 5 or 6 watch list piece per day. Okay, here is an example of what I did with the roadmap, which is in the Patreon store. So I took the bear market in Solana. That's the blue line. Then I told TradingView to flip it. I just literally flipped it and then pasted it on Solana today. So here's Solana vertical, Solana in a range, and now Solana is about to embark on essentially an inverse of the FTX crash. Call it a reverse crash or a melt up. There's no reason why Solana can't do exactly what it did when it went down, which is enter into a vertical period now or in April, targeting 184, right, in April and 250 in May. Flip it, good. You imagine what happens in this market. Where's Jupiter? Where's Orca? Where's all this stuff that hasn't rallied? Everyone's like, oh, I missed it. Really? Did you miss Jupiter? Uniswap went from, I think Uniswap when it came out, like went to 2 after it crashed. And then it went to 20. Jupiter can do the exact same thing. Okay, just as a reminder of what can happen in Solana, going back to 2017 and checking out what ETH did at a similar price like 130. So ETH back in 2017 broke through 130, came back down, retested 130, and then went to 412. 412. Now, if I said Solana is going to go to 412, you would probably turn off the show. But as an example of how volatile it can be, the more extended, in order to get a correction, right? In order to get a correction in this market, it's going to have to be wildly overextended, because that's what happened in 2017. ETH broke 130, retested it, went to 400, and then went back to 130. So you're going to have to get absolutely insane action in order to get a massive correction. So I'm not suggesting Solana 412, although I wouldn't mind it if the market made me look like a genius with this chart. Aave, I missed it. There's nothing left in crypto to buy. Everything has mooned. No. All you need is one bank to have a problem, or one banking system to have a problem, before everyone discovers ETH DeFi. Because this is like the biggest rounding bottom. It's huge. This is a 2-year-old pattern. And this is everywhere. Aave, synthetics, right? Yearn.Finance. All of these things from 2020, all this ETH DeFi stuff that no one wants to touch. It's like, it's just now making the bottom. Everyone is in my Patreon asking how to draw a cup and handle. Well, I'll do a video on it and put it in the store, but here it is in 10 words or less. A market goes down. A market dies and does nothing. Everyone gives up. It has a little bit of a roundward bend to it, and then it goes up. So down, die, round up. That's a cup and handle. So if most likely, if you find a crypto that has not rallied yet, it looks like this. Synthetics. Bus could be leaving, right? $4.52. If synthetics is above $4.52 on any dip, it could go to $6. Synthetics has been dead for 800 days. Can you imagine the despair? Is anyone still long synthetics? Anybody? Is anybody like, hey, let's go to the crypto barbershop and be like, hey, you know what? I'm super long synthetics and Litecoin. Which, by the way, was up 20% today, right? Again, what's going up in this market? Stuff that no one owns, stuff that people don't understand, and stuff that people hate. That's the meme coins, right? Under-owned, don't understand it, don't like it. That's what has gone up all year. Under-owned, underappreciated, or just juvenile. Now, if you get that, you can get involved, because again, Don't tell me as a chart guy, I missed everything. Some of this stuff, everything, I can draw 10 charts a day of something that's either basing, about to break out, or about to break through resistance. Litecoin. So what's Litecoin done for 2 years? Nothing. What did Litecoin do? Well, it made this triangle and it made a false breakout through the top. And then it turned around in accordance with theory and made a false breakout through the bottom. You know, they got everybody bullish and then they got everybody bearish and then they just take it up. And now everybody on Coinbase is looking at their phone going, wow, $72,000 for one Bitcoin. Oh, wait, Litecoin, is that fast baby Bitcoin? I can get that for what, 105? Maybe I get 3. That's normie thinking. Meanwhile, back at the crypto ranch, fast Bitcoin may not be a bad idea. Somebody was in my Patreon asking about Dash. I'll try to cover it in live TA. But the bottom line is, people, the higher Bitcoin goes, the more you have to start thinking about crypto as money. In other words, XRP answered a question today. How high did Bitcoin have to go in order to wake up XRP and Litecoin and fill in the blank? Like, how high does ETH have to go to wake up Polkadot? How high does Solana have to go to wake up Rune? Or how far does Rune have to go to wake up Solana? Because that cross-chain narrative. It's amazing. They did the cross-chain narrative, but they haven't done interoperability with Polkadot. Here's Yearn.Finance. This triangle is 2 years. 2 years of nothing. 2 years of like Groundhog Day in Yearn.Finance. Oh, what's my Yearn.Finance position doing? Nothing. 2 years of nothing. What happens when you wake up after 2 years of nothing? Well, you're seeing it everywhere. This is Yearn going from 9,000 to 14K on a rope. You know how many of these there are in the market? They're everywhere. They are everywhere. Oops, I accidentally put the roadmap for Near Protocol in the public slideshow. Whoops. Everyone's like, hey, why is Near vertical? Well, I don't know. First of all, it was at 50 cents and no one wanted it. And then it went to $6 and everyone thought that was expensive, but they forgot that in 2021, we were grateful that we got it at 9 because it went to 20. And if you take the whole bull market, the last cycle, and literally cut it and paste it and say, what should Near be doing if it was doing what it was doing last cycle when everything was a mindless, money-driven QE pumpathon because of COVID? Now we're really doing the future of tech. Oh, wow, I can't touch Near at 6. Yeah, well, this pattern match thing says it should be at 12. And it could be at 20 in August. Check out the store and Patreon to find out what this looks like for a whole bunch of big cap coins. Algorand, a cup and handle. Oh, I can't buy Algorand. I missed everything. No, you haven't. Algorand is not even above its high from last year. Let me say this again. Algorand is not above its high from last year. Never mind 2022 or 2021. This is just started. If I showed you this chart and said what was going on in crypto right now, you'd be like, oh, yeah, meh. Crypto's kind of starting to wake up. Starting to wake up. Everyone's like, I missed it. Missed what? Missed what? Missed nothing. Look at the graph. Everyone's like, I think you should buy the graph. Graph went up 50%. I'm like, buy the graph. Everyone's like, dude, it just went up 50%. Like, who cares? This was the thing Kramer got right in 2009. Don't get talked out of a stock because it went up 60%. Right? Because the stock is so depressed because of the crash. Who cares? Don't look at the percentages. Don't. Like, it's a rounding bottom in the graph. This thing has been dead. It's been completely dead. This is like synthetics. This is like 800 days of dead. This is a top multi-coin capital, future of computing, future of AI type of coin. Let's see. It was at $1.35. It was at 53 cents when Celsius and FTX started, and the high is over $2. But, I don't want any at 50 cents because I didn't get it at 25 cents. Don't think that way. I mean, if you do a bad trade, you got to use risk management, but don't say, oh, you know what? I missed it, or I'm going to take profits for the sake of taking profits. You take profits because you need to buy a new computer, or you take profits because you look at the thing and go, wow, this is a lot of money, man. That's unbelievable. That's when you take profits. That's when you back off a trade, but you don't back off a trade that hasn't even started yet. What do you think? Do you think I'm the only one who sees this? You're seeing it. I'm seeing it. Multi-coin capital probably seeing it. And if they're not, someone's going to show them this and be like, yeah, this is the most epic bottom ever. And they're going to start pushing it, or they're going to start selling. They're going to start shilling it to sovereign wealth funds. Filecoin, insane. I was like, yeah, you know, it's like 11. It could go to 26. I was like, that's a pretty bold upside target. And then I zoomed out. I saw this, like, you know, Filecoin die bottom downward sloping wedge, right? It's like my Whataburger cup, you know, I just tossed it out of the car onto the highway. Filecoin just left there. The high in this thing is like 80. You got to start asking yourself, what's the distance between my coin and its all-time high? Everyone's talking about the all-time high in Bitcoin. No one's talking about the all-time high in Filecoin or fill in the blank coin. Hey, it's Theta. You know what? 3 months ago, if I told you, or 6 months ago, that Theta is going to be a top coin for this cycle, you would have been like, whatever, boomer, and moved on. Guess what? Theta is breaking out above $3.40. And based on this Fibonacci speed resistance line, it could go to 5.5. Why? Because no one knows. I mean, look at this give up trade. I mean, this is like the coin's been delisted. It's like, you know, and then all of a sudden it wakes up. Now, you don't have to do Theta, but it's not going to take a lot of time to find a coin with a decent narrative that hasn't done anything yet. Or it's done something, but it's not at 16. It's at 3. It's like, oh, well, Theta at 3. I can't touch it. Don't think this way. Don't do it. Okay. OPSEC, an AI coin. Love the name. $1.94 key level. TIA waking up. TIA popped 10% right before the stream. I call up the chart. I'm like, this is a Fibonacci extension structure. What happens if TIA holds at 15? You have 18, 23, and 36 as possible targets. Now, I know this was the hot trade last year, but what has it done this year? Nothing. And this is what happened with Rune. Rune did nothing and then woke up, right? Like Rune was done. January, February, March. And look what they were doing. They wicked everybody out, everyone out. Nasty wick, vertical. I mean, if Rune takes out 9.5, I got GAN work on this new. And by the way, we got GAN stuff coming up. Oh, there it is. Whoops. Okay. Drew a bunch of GAN structures, one off the high, one off the low. Okay. Rune taking out 8. Where's the resistance? 11.5. Like I'm almost fading some of my own work. If Rune takes out 9.5 or there's a dip and then Rune comes back, it's going up another $2. Nothing's going to stop if you don't stop the cross-chain narrative on the Fed and CPI, nothing stops the cross-chain narrative. That's it. That is it. Avalanche. Look, another crypto that's done nothing. Avalanche was at 100 and something. It went to 0. No one wanted it. Now 48 is a key level. If it's above 48, it can go to 70. XRP. I'm back. GAN structures drawn off this peak and this low. GAN lines intersecting on April 1st. Intersecting GAN lines can sometimes start major trends. Not always, but it can. Right? So you got XRP waking up. You got non-believers. People thinking 60, 70 cents is expensive. What happens if this GAN time point matters? Polkadot GAN structure, all-time high, 2020 ICO. Where's the resistance in Polkadot? Where are two Gann lines intersecting above Polkadot? Oh, at 20. You imagine like walking into the barbershop tomorrow or going to the diner and be like, you know, I think Polkadot's going to 20. They could be like, no. But you could say to the same person, hey, I think Bitcoin's going to 100K. And you're like, oh, yeah, it'd be like the Muppet Show, Sesame Street, where everyone's like nodding their head. Yeah, but if you walked up to him and said, hey, big call in Patreon, everybody got long, Polkadot's going to 20. Everyone's like, what? Yeah. The funny thing about 20 is it's halfway to 40. Near. So if things get crazy in near, I don't know, 9.4. Remember we was talking about how we were so psyched we got it at 9? I mean, you got 48 hours to get yourself a dip. TIA, oh my God, look at this thing. Making a base on a Gann line and then popping 10%, right? Even if TIA comes back down, this Gann line is underneath, right? I mean, you know, it's like if you get some distance here, you can go to 20 something and then 30 something, just like that Fibonacci work that I was doing. The point is that even in stuff that's gone up a lot, there's stuff that hasn't moved that could restart the trend at any moment. And that's this whole thing about active portfolio management, which is all this education in Patreon about dealing with corrections and active portfolio management. Okay, Silas is saying, aren't most of us in the Patreon? Yes, I hope you are, and I appreciate it. Preemptive strike is here. Okay, Rudy is telling me that I got to get to VRA because he's up late, and we are doing VRA for Rudy. We are. Period. End of story. Okay, here comes VRA. Okay, here's the 4-hour chart. Okay, I'm going to draw the hidden pivot stuff. All the way down to the settings and everything. Okay, for VRA, right? VRA is holding above 0.013. Notice, again, this is a market where you want to be looking at the candlesticks. So this is VRA 4-hour. And I know this is ironic because I've never done this before, but look what they've done in VRA. Like here's the key point at 0.013, right? It's an educational moment. What have they done here? Wick you out, take it up, wick you out. How many times have they taken it down here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They've tried to take you out below this line and they can't do it. They can't do it. So the upside target is 0.0179. I'm sure Rudy would love 0.179, but it's 0.0179. You know how many cryptos I have that look like this, where they're trying to wick people out and it's just sitting here hanging around on support? Okay. Aiken asking about MATIC. I saw some like small cap layer 2s mooning. I was like, that's kind of funny. Okay. So MATIC is, you know, the classic cup and handle, right? Or the classic double teacup. I don't know. You call it what you want to call it. The simple fact of the matter is the upside target is probably anywhere from 140. And just remember, this is like Algorand. The high from last year was $1.60. That's the high from last year. That's not the high. It's not the high. It's not. Okay. Silas has been long Litecoin for years. Long Litecoin for years. Okay. A lot of people, okay. A lot of people, Root Network, Root. Now, Also, good to mention in the Patreon is we've got something called Kitchen Table, where we're opening it up for requests, and we're contemplating having like a game show where essentially we pick the best of the requested cryptos. Now, Root Network, hidden pivot analysis. Okay. Note how Root at 0.108, I can draw this type of stuff everywhere. They take it up, but when they bring it back, it holds at support. Upside target, 0.155. I could do this all day. I could do this all day. Somewhere there's a crypto on support, about to break up. Patricia asking about flow. You know, we liked flow early on in the bull market. We did. And then I didn't talk about it much after that. Silly rabbit. Okay. So here's a classic example. Again, another instructional moment. You can't get enough instructional moments. Everyone's like, how do I draw a teacup and handle? Well, you find something that went down and stayed down. Then you find something over here where the little handle on the teacup was this awful choppy range where everyone got discouraged. And then to complete the lesson, you travel the distance of the cup from the point of the breakout. Look at that. So that is how you do flow. That is how you do cup and handle. So flow probably at resistance. Okay. Unless you do this. Look at my silly little arrow. You know, you're like, oh yeah, flow's at the upside target. Yeah. Okay. This is like NBA Top Shot. I can't even, it doesn't even fit. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, right? In other words, how far could this thing go once it got started? Now, the thing about the crypto market is, and bringing it home here, okay, bringing it home. Somebody said, those are Texas Longhorn bullheads. That's what I call it. I love that. Thank you. Dane, welcome. Okay. In crypto, get your act together in the next 3 days. Whether it goes up and you miss it or it goes down and you get stopped out, you know what? Who cares? Get in Patreon. Patreon, we got the coaching. We got the GAN TA. I'm doing that GAN TA that you saw across everything. And I gave him Polkadot and I can't control myself. We're going out aggressively with Polkadot. For the next group of picks, you want to be there. 9 altcoins per day. The rally for the halving starts in front of the Fed meeting on March 20th. It's going to start in front of that. They may have started it today. You get a dip on CPI, get busy. I'm your host, Bill Noble. We'll see you in Patreon.